During emergency braking or on slippery surfaces, a driver may apply braking force that is greater than the tyre's capacity for grip. If this happens, the wheels can lock up, causing the vehicle to skid out of control. By preventing this lockup, the vehicle stops sooner and remains under the driver's control. The anti-lock braking system, or ABS, provides this assistance. So, how does it work? Sensors on each wheel constantly measure their rotational speed. The ABS control module samples this data continually, comparing the rotational speed of each wheel. If one or more wheels is rotating slower than the others, a condition that will bring the wheel to lock, the system takes action. It instructs the brake master cylinder to direct brake force away from the locking wheel, so it releases and regains traction. As the wheel begins to turn again, braking force is momentarily reapplied. This process is repeated up to 20 times a second and causes the characteristic pulsing feel through the brake pedal. As a result, the driver's intended brake force is applied without locking up and skidding, allowing the driver to maintain steering control while braking, meaning that stopping distances may also be reduced. The vehicle on the left has ABS, the vehicle on the right does not. Both vehicles are travelling at 100 kilometers per hour. Let's simulate an emergency braking situation and see what happens. Both drivers apply their brakes at the same time and with the same force. But the vehicle with ABS maintains control while braking and is able to steer around the obstacle. ABS helps the driver avoid accidents by preventing lockup and loss of traction. This allows the driver to maintain steering control during heavy braking and may help to reduce stopping distance. During cornering or evasive maneuvers, a vehicle can lose traction, resulting in understeer or oversteer. Understeer occurs when the front wheels lose traction while turning and the vehicle drives straight ahead instead of into the turn. Oversteer occurs when the rear wheels lose traction while turning and the vehicle's rear end slides out instead of following the front wheels into the turn. Dynamic Stability Control, or DSC, senses and corrects understeer and oversteer. So how does it work? Sensors measure the driver's intended course, the actual direction of the vehicle, and the vehicle's traction with the road. The DSC control module samples this data continually. If variance between the driver's intended course and the actual direction of the vehicle is detected, the control module takes action. In an understeer situation, the vehicle's momentum continues straight ahead instead of into the turn because the front wheels have lost traction. To correct this, the control module reduces engine power to the front wheels until traction returns. At the same time, it brakes the inner rear wheel. This creates an anchor or pivot point that assists the vehicle into the turn. In an oversteer situation, the momentum in the rear of the vehicle is directed straight ahead instead of into the turn because the rear wheels have lost traction. To correct this, the control module reduces engine power to the front wheels. At the same time, it brakes the outer front wheel. This creates an anchor or pivot point that counteracts the rear end sliding out, so it straightens up and follows the steering line. A car with only Only the driver on board carries the weight of its engine and transmission over the front wheels. This means the front wheels have better grip than the rear wheels. Because the front wheels have the most grip, giving those wheels more braking power results in the shortest braking distance. When passengers and luggage are added, weight and therefore grip is spread more evenly over the front and rear wheels. To effectively brake an evenly weighted car, braking power must also be evenly distributed between the front and rear wheels. This distribution is maintained until the extra load is removed from the vehicle or the ignition is switched off. Electronic brake force distribution, or EBD, is responsible for this redistribution. So, how does it work? A load sensor measures the weight distribution between the front and rear wheels. If additional load such as occupants and luggage is detected over the rear wheels, the sensor instructs the master cylinder to redistribute brake force. The master cylinder reduces brake fluid pressure to the front wheels and increases pressure to the rear wheels until the brake force is evenly distributed. Let's take a look at EBD in action. The vehicle on the left is fully loaded and has EBD. The vehicle on the right is also fully loaded but does not have EBD. Both vehicles are travelling at 100 km per hour. Let's simulate an emergency braking situation and see what happens. Both drivers apply the same brake force at the same time. But the vehicle with EBD has better grip because its brake force has been optimised based on the weight distribution, and so it stops sooner. EBD apportions brake force depending on vehicle load and helps the driver avoid accidents by reducing the stopping distance. This ensures that if there is a collision, the impact speed is lower. The driver's reaction time and the force they apply on the brake may not be sufficient to ensure the greatest possible braking response. Research reveals that a shorter stopping distance can be achieved if the driver is assisted. Emergency Brake Assist, or EBA, provides this assistance. So, how does it work? Based on brake pedal depression, speed and force, the emergency brake assist function determines if emergency braking is occurring. The large power brake booster incorporates a diaphragm to achieve both high braking performance and a natural braking feel. When the brake pedal is depressed strongly or at higher speeds, atmospheric pressure against the diaphragm in the brake booster increases the brake boost effect to the master cylinder. The brake master cylinder is responsible for controlling brake fluid pressure. It responds to this boost by increasing brake fluid pressure to its highest possible level. As a result, the maximum possible brake force is immediately applied on all four wheels with far greater speed and strength than an unassisted driver could achieve. It also works in concert with the anti-lock brake system to ensure the braking event does not cause wheel lock. Let's take a look at EBA in action. The vehicle on the left has EBA. The vehicle on the right does not. Both vehicles are travelling at 100 km per hour. Let's simulate an emergency braking situation and see what happens. Both drivers apply their brakes at the same time and with the same force. But the vehicle with EBA brakes sooner and with greater force, and so it stops before the obstacle. The vehicle without EBA needed additional distance to stop, and so crashes into the obstacle. EBA helps a driver avoid accidents by reducing emergency stopping distances and ensuring that if there is a collision, the impact speed is lower. During heavy acceleration from a standstill or when merging with traffic, wheels can lose traction, reducing the driver's control of the vehicle. Traction control prevents this wheel slip. So, how does it work? The traction control module monitors data from the wheel speed sensors and the powertrain control module. It samples this data continually, comparing the rotational speed of each wheel. If one or more wheels is rotating faster than the others, indicating traction loss, the system takes action. It instructs the powertrain control module to reduce torque and the braking system to apply braking pressure to the slipping wheel until it regains traction. Traction control allows drivers to safely apply heavy acceleration when merging with fast-moving traffic and on slippery or loose surfaces.